And we are back with another live of the Work and Play replay here with Dr. Erica Jones, MD, y'all. What it do? What it do? Listen, and she bring the vibes. You know what? I love you 100%. Now I know I got to take you to the club or something like that. This wouldn't be a Work and Play replay if I didn't get a shoulder jab, but I think you might be the first person who gave me the vibes.
Always, coming with the vibes.
I love it. What's up, Dr. Erica? How are you?
Life is good. Life is good, Arylle. Thank you for having me on the Work and Play podcast.
Thank you for being here. Listen, your energy, and ever since I connected with you, I will say this: Work and Play is starting to evolve into the direction that I really, really wanted to go in. Right? Like I literally spent the last 2 hours on my balcony, just relaxing, listening to some Earl Nightingale, reading, taking my journal. You know what I mean? And these are things that I love to do, but sometimes you get away from the things that you like to do. So you literally have been that reminder to just stay grounded, stay whole.
Yeah. I'm happy I could be that reminder for you. And, I think I had to be that reminder for myself too. Like sometimes you see me posting stuff about taking care of yourself. Like I'm talking to myself.
Yes, ma'am. You said it on the podcast. You literally was like, you know what? I'm starting my journey, and this is something that I could use to remind myself to stay consistent. So I was like, you know what? Somebody who could take ownership, I'm not mad at it. So before we get into it, let's set the stage. Those of you guys who have not seen the episode of the Work and Play podcast, this is Dr. Erica Jones, and we talked about the influence of self-compassion. Now, I met Dr. Erica Jones at a podcast convention, and I got to be at her like breakout room where she talked about self-love, being able to give yourself self-care, and the importance of it from her perspective, from not only from like a medical perspective, but from her journey. So you and I connected just straight off of the vibes. I want to say, like, your outfit was just banging. We immediately connected, and then from there, I learned that she had the Art of Transition podcast. I was like, Art of Transition podcast. Well, for those of you guys who are watching on LinkedIn, then y'all know that on the top of my page says transition, right? So I'm like, dang, what is this lady about? Go to her podcast. She's transitioning and she has a brand called F. No, that's not the name of the brand, but you got a saying F this job.
Yeah, it's a book.
The avatar for doggone. You got some gahunas. So I was like, let me get to know this chick. So let's start there. Let's get to know this chick. Who is Erica?
So I am a lover. I'm a daughter. I am a friend. I am a pillar in the community. I'm a beacon of light. I show up in a lot of different spaces. The things I got coming up, most recently is going to be like Soul Circle. So every month I work with a local sneaker store called Soul Play ATL, and we work on programming that's centered around bridging the gap between your sneaker community and mental health. So I'm not providing counseling. I'm more so just raising awareness and having people come on and just talk about like how they feel. So that's the most recent thing that I've been doing in the community. And I'm a physician. So right now I'm participating in telemedicine. So for people who don't know what telemedicine is, it's where you go and you get care from a physician, a nurse practitioner, or a healthcare professional, whether it's mental health, whether it's preventative health, and you do it online. So that's the way, a lot of things are moving on the digital platform. So it's important that we learn to take up space in all of these different platforms. Outside of telehealth, I am an author. So I have 5 books that are available on Amazon. I'm a podcaster. I'm a philanthropist. I do a lot. And at the end of the day, I just love to see my people thrive. I love to see my friends and family thrive. So being a beacon of light, it's one of those things where like light kind of transforms and transcends. So it's important, for me to just be around people who also have light, and then we shine it on each other and reflect it back on each other. So while I just look like this, like I'm really everywhere.
Yeah, straight up. And you have evolved. I'm looking at pictures from when she had locks, when
Yeah.
she had hair, like evolving and being who you are as a beacon of light. You definitely done it. Sis pulled up on me at the Invest Fest just to share her story. Like she said, she has 5 books, and she came to the booth where I was doing I Love Books to sit, literally just tell her story real quick and just show up. So I appreciate that, because I think when it comes to us and igniting each other, that's what we're here for. And I love that you just decided, like, let me pull up. So it's about that in your friendship, but it's also about that in the community. So that's what we're hearing right now.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, so we talked a lot about your journey specifically from the medical field to being a medical consultant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we didn't talk about your journey and evolution as a podcaster.
Yeah.
Like, the reason that it's important. So first of all, the Art of Transition is just a dope name, right?
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I was like, it encompasses every single thing. That it's not just like leaving from corporate to entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
right? It's not just, becoming going up the corporate ladder. It's not just being better. Like, all of it encompasses all of the parts that we could actually experience as just we become better people. So what was your vision when you said, I'm gonna start a podcast, right? And then what was your vision for how the show was going to evolve, or where you wanted to take it?
So the Art of Transition podcast is actually a spinoff of the book that I wrote back in 2018 called F This Job. So the second part of that is the Art of Transition. I got a lot of flack for writing that book. People thought that I was promoting laziness. People thought that I was like contributing to this culture that didn't want to work, when it was the exact opposite. I was challenging individuals to focus on their talents and to build their skills, because there is an art of transition. So not only building your skills, but also like working with whatever team you have, your financial team, whatever your base at home is, and having conversations with individuals about how you can push yourself forward. So the Art of Transition was like the second part of the title of that book that got overshadowed by the F asterisk CK, This Job. So the Art of Transition was important for me to emphasize, and I wanted to do that in the podcast because I knew people who were making important transitions in life. So one of my first or second interviews was like an engineer at Zuka Art Gallery, which is like the second largest Black-owned art gallery in the Southeast, and they're right downtown in Castleberry Hill. So another interview that soon followed that one, and this was audio, right? I wasn't thinking to like
Visual
use
presentation. Yeah.
visuals so you can see how the podcast evolved from, an audio perspective. And then I got Big Dave's Cheesesteaks. So we all see what Big Dave's Cheesesteaks is doing in terms of just
Yes.
creating new locations. And then now he's engaged to Pinky Cole. So they're like a huge restaurant power couple that is just empowering people, inspiring people, and really uplifting a lot of the people in the Atlanta community. So those are like some of my first interviews, and these are people that are feeding into the Atlanta community. And just to be able to have the conversations about growth and moving into businesses and different obstacles and things like that, it was important for me to highlight them, because at the time they didn't have a lot of interviews. This was like maybe early 2020, like 2019. They weren't really doing a lot of interviews back then. So it was important for me to just be able to highlight them in that way. And it was a privilege for me to be able to highlight them in that way. So
Yeah.
podcasting for me started off as a way to shine light on my friends who were doing amazing things. And then as I started to build the platform, then I started to learn, what people wanted. And now people want visuals. So y'all see us.
Yep. And literally in the flesh, two brown sisters living their lives, literally doing the work. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
100. It's amazing. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're following your own true passion. Like, I gotta go check out. Y'all gotta go check out all of those episodes as well. Like,
Yeah.
cheesesteaks definitely off the chain. It's not a lot of vegan spots out here for us to check out. So they actually do like a vegan like option, right? Because that's at Bar Vegan, right?
Right. So
Yes.
so Pinky and Derek collaborated for Dinky's Inside Bar Vegan. So you can get the vegan cheesesteaks there.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So your podcast is lit. You got a lot of dope people around you. That's
Thank
clear.
you.
You're one of them, right? That's dope. And then you also do a whole bunch of traveling. If y'all haven't seen her page, just be gone like for like stretches of time at a time every month. I'm like, that is the life, right? On the back end, she be like masterminded deals. I'm like, yo, that sounds legit. She's like, I'm working on chart reviews. I said, oh, okay, sis is off the chain. And now you're venturing into the space. Not that this is new for you, but I recall you saying that the podcast when I came to see you speak, was that one of your first speaking engagements?
I've been doing public speaking since I was like maybe 9 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 9 or 10. And having that skill under my belt at a young age enabled me to be able to show up in different places. So every time I show up for a speaking engagement, I show up as myself. However, whenever I put a new skill, somewhere and tuck it, it's like, okay, well, I can show up and speak about this now.
Yeah.
So being able to speak at the Black Pod Festival was a real privilege. What Ona really put together was amazing. And I think that having spaces so that we could all meet each other and thrive, and it was just, oh my God, it was so fulfilling. So,
You did
yeah,
it really well. You did your thing.
thank
Speaking
you.
of which, I'm thinking of your new endeavor, which is
Mhm.
South by Southwest. She is currently on the market to speak at South by Southwest. So whether
Yeah.
you're going or you're not going, you need to be tuned in and vote. Is the voting still open for today?
Voting closed yesterday, so now it's up to the hands of the organizers of South by Southwest. So what I'm ultimately trying to do is just talk to people about taking care of themselves. And ultimately, creatives like you and I tend to get wound up in our projects and things like that. And it's easy to get sidetracked when it comes to taking care of our own needs. So I'm specifically talking to creatives like over this past year. I just understand after working with more creatives and having time to, travel and meet different people who are creating content, who are creating podcasts, who are more focusing more on their artistic endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you let your self-care go to the wayside. So I have spent a lot of time focusing on that demographic of individuals in the last several months.
Let's go. What's up, Mr. Let Go in the chat saying what's up? Thank you. Thank you for joining. Listen, if you guys are watching on YouTube, do us a favor, like and subscribe this video right here and drop a comment. What's something that you're learning, whether it's on the replay or whether you're watching right now. Go ahead, give us some energy. Like Erica said, we are light, but sometimes we need to be like illuminated through your energy. So go ahead and comment and just go ahead and hit the like button real quick. So as you talk about self-care for creatives, right? Mm-hmm. I saw your video. So those of you guys who missed the voting, just stay tuned because I'm sure there's going to be other ways you can support Erica on this journey. But when it comes to self-care, what resonates with me is I'm that girl. I am that girl who left data analytics because I'm like, I want to be better. I want to be more whole. I have a great routine for self-care. When I tell you that I love it, but then there are times where I backslide and I go back into my normal. Don't give me a spreadsheet, don't give me a database, because that's where I get in my creative bag. Because I'm like, ooh, I could do columns here, I could do a VLOOKUP here, I could just, and then before I know it, I'm like stressed out, and I'm not journaling, and I'm not reading, and I'm not stretching. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm going down this, I'm just slipping. And so for you, like when you gifted me the gratitude journal, it was really, really, I was grateful, right?
Yeah.
And it really gave me space and time to reflect. To take it a step further, y'all don't notice, but I actually am doing the same gratitude challenge that she's doing on her page with my cousin. Nice. And it's been like, like how change. This is not even a cousin I speak to on a regular basis.
Really?
No, literally, wow. It was a in the moment conversation where we were talking about growth, and we were talking about, how you can get on the phone with a cousin and go down a rabbit hole, like, oh, did you hear she said?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And before you know, you're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? But then I asked, what did you have to be grateful for? Mm-hmm. And she was like, you know what? I don't know. I said, I got the perfect thing for you.
Oh, man. There's so much around us. There's so much that we can be grateful for. But I get it. Like sometimes when we like getting down on ourselves and we get kind of caught up in what everybody else is doing. We on social media and we see what it's like, man, it can really make you feel bad about yourself. So you, even if you make a mistake, you have to really bring it back to, like, bring that back in real quick. Like, hold up, was just a mistake. Hold up. I've been, and you focus on like all your accomplishments in the past. You know what I'm saying? It'll kind of bring you back, and when you think about the things that you're grateful for, you look around and see something that you're grateful for. Um, Even just being able to smell something and see something. It's the simplest things that can bring us back to like a grounded perspective, because it's easy, especially in Atlanta. Atlanta's like, the new Hollywood. There's a lot of, fake stuff floating around and fake people floating around. It's easy to get caught up in this or get caught up in that, and you feel bad about yourself. Like, I've been trying to eat super healthy. I've been trying to work out. So I think I was on Instagram the other day, like, man, I'm hungry. So I went and got some tacos with the white queso dip. Like, at first I was like, dang, man, I'm finna blow my whole day. But I'm like, at some point you have to give yourself some grace when you've been doing what you're supposed to do all week. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm human. I want something that tastes salty, cheesy. Like, I don't follow any strict diets. Like, I don't eat beef. But for the most part, like, I eat whatever. But I always try to make sure I work out, and I try to make sure I eat like small meals throughout the day. But I was like, I want some tacos.
You got to give yourself grace. You got to give yourself grace. And that's the part that we have to talk more about in the transition. You get what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to evolution, we want change immediately, but change is a part of the process. And a part of the process is being like 30 days straight, no meat, nothing, no dairy, no cheese. You just sitting here like, I'm on it. And then, day 31, you're like, you know what? I could use a taco. I could, you know what I'm saying? And not feeling like, okay, after you do it, now you go through this like whole 15 days of self-guilt, right?
Right.
You go forward. You allow yourself to backslide or whatever you do and make yourself happy and move forward.
Yeah.
That's the part of evolution that people don't see on the other side. Those days that we allow ourselves to just be happy.
Yeah.
Give ourselves grace.
Exactly.
So that's the part that I want to talk about in the transformation. For you, you created the gratitude journal, which is so simple, but it's like, when I tell you it's so simple, but I got so many stories of how it works for you. In your journey, what would you say is the biggest transformation that someone either wouldn't see or wouldn't know, or most people do know about you?
I feel like I'm a pretty open person. So for people who know me, they know like everything that I've gone through. I think one of the biggest challenges was really going through residency at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. It was a program that was predominantly white instructors. And I, coming from an HBCU, it's like a totally different, culture. When I went on my interviews, it's like, okay, well, I felt welcome, but, just still dealing with microaggressions with people who might have, worked in around those facilities. Some patients who were from, smaller like podunk towns in Alabama and things like that. Those are some of the things I didn't really, see. So it was a struggle for me at times, knowing that, I'm a physician, but I'm not getting paid like a physician. I'm getting paid like a resident. So for people who don't know, resident physicians are doctors already, but they have to finish a residency program. My residency program was 3 years. We might have got paid like $40,000 a year, and we might have been working like 80 hours a week for a lot of different times. So being deprived of, like food, water, sleep, that was a struggle. So for people who know me, they know that was, one of my biggest struggles, just having to go through that. So I think, I think more than anything else, just being able to go through that. And I found support in, so many places where people wouldn't think, like anywhere, anybody from, the janitors to people who worked at the restaurant across the street from the hospital, people who worked in the kitchen at the hospital.
Yes. Extra scoop, a little extra scoop of some peach cobbler, that'll always make your day. The janitor making sure you good with your toilet paper supply. The people, what do they say? The people in low places, not even the low places, but those are the people who have your back. Like, you always have to make a point of like being kind to those people because those are the ones who got your back.
Yeah, and just developing a sense of community and people who weren't necessarily in the medical field. So that was like I said, that was a challenge, but hey, here I am, 10 years later. I'm a board certified family medicine physician, and I'm happy to be here talking about podcasting. A lot of times in media, you don't see people who look like us, who are the faces of media. So it's been a journey. It's been really fun. And when you talk like the gratitude journal, for me, I had to challenge myself to journal 7 days in a row. And it's goes back full circle to the, self-compassion thing, because like if you skip a day, like don't be mad at yourself. It's okay. Because what it is, you're just building a habit, of expressing yourself. Whether or not you have a video journal or you're using my journal, which is called I Am Well, All Is Well, the Gratitude Journal. It's available on Amazon right now. Journals are low content books, so it's something that anybody could put together. So one of the journeys that people didn't see is that I had a different cover for that journal. But when you go to start creating things, you start to realize like, hey, that doesn't really look that great, or you start to discover like a new cover, like a new color scheme. So it's important to give yourself grace, even in the creative process, and not really be hard on yourself. So I had to battle in between the first cover, like keeping the cover that I had, and then putting a new cover on. So that was a challenge in terms of getting the sizing correct. But I just stuck with it and kept going through the software and then Googling. Like I Google issues when I have them, especially with tech or anything. And just it was a struggle for me to be patient with myself because the book was already finished. The journal was already done.
It was the cover.
It was the cover that I wanted to change. So even small challenges like that can frustrate you and really set you back for months at a time. But for me, it was just like, okay, let me bring it back together. All right, I'm gonna try this again today. And just knowing like, okay, I'm gonna spend 15 minutes on this. And maybe today I'll get it. And then one day, I got the dimensions right. Like I just kept playing with them and kept playing with the numbers and the software, and I got the dimensions right. And boom.
Now we have it, changing lives. Those of y'all who don't know, she just gave you a glimpse of the process. Whether you want to start with an ebook, a low content product, or even a course or something like that, and you're currently in your job, and that's one of those first products you want to create. You literally, like Dr. Erica literally just gave us a glimpse of that first process. So if you either want to Google now or reach out to even Dr. Erica for like, what's that process like, or someone who can help you along your journey, then you need to do that so that you don't waste your time trying to figure out the dimensions. Like when you're the first ones to do something like that, you waste a lot of time trying to figure out stuff like dimensions or the logo size on your website. You like, dang, if I just tweak this one thing, and then you don't put it out for the next couple of months because it's just not right. It just don't look right.
But I challenge, everybody that's watching and people who are going to listen in the future, just do it. Like, get you a plan together. And even though things may not go as planned, just do it anyway. Like, you'll figure out the steps that you need to figure out in the process, but just do it. And don't get frustrated with yourself. Like, have compassion with yourself if it doesn't work out the first time or in the timeline that you expected it to. And that's anything from creating a book to starting a podcast to weight loss to getting your blood pressure down, like all across the board. Like life is about making progress, but you also have to be patient in that progress as long as you're taking the steps to continue to push forward.
100%. Back to the auto transition. This never gets old. I'm saying it's never gets old. All right, last thing before we get up out of here is your journey specifically. So what's really dope is that you went from being a doctor to being an entrepreneur. And a lot of times when I'm coaching someone who's leaving corporate America and going into entrepreneur, it's like entrepreneurship. We're honing in on the high income skill set that they can actually monetize on, and then building a business around it once they've generated the income that they want, right? For you, we talked about your process, right? We talked about your process on the podcast. But I'm curious that one thing that made your result, right? The one skill set that you realize you flipped, or the one result that you see in your life that you didn't have before. What's that one thing that people need to focus on right now instead of focusing on all the small details so that they can get to where they want to go?
You have to figure out what skills you have. Like, what transferable skills do you have? Are you great at taking photos? Are you great at making connections? Are you great at writing? Are you great at creating content? Like, you're good at something. You just have to kind of figure out what that is. For me, I took writing classes when I was a kid. I've been writing since I was, once again, like, I don't know, maybe 7. My mom would buy empty books for me when I was a kid. So even when it came to applying for college and applying for college scholarships, I won those because of my writing ability. So above all else, above me excelling in my science and math courses, I started writing and doing public speaking when I was like under 10. So it was almost a no-brainer for me, you know. For other individuals who might not have had that luxury, I would just say you have to try different things. Just do it. Do not, like, even if you don't do a great job at it, you learned. So you got to start kind of researching your own self, right?
Love
And
that.
figuring out,
Research your own self.
yeah, like you really have to figure out like what you're good at.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Listen, I could do this all day. I love the fact that I got you even when we get off of camera. I appreciate that. But those of you guys who are here now, if you have any specific questions, you might want to ask them right now. And if you want to get connected with Erica, we'll do that in just a moment. But stay tuned for how you can get connected with her. So, Erica, before we get up out of here, what are you most excited about doing these days? What are you offering to the people, and what do the folks have to look forward to?
I'm excited about every day. Like, so if y'all see me in the streets, just say, hey, I'm such and such. And just ask me whatever you want to ask me. Typically, I'm somewhere chilling. At the end of the day, like, every day is an adventure. When you practice telemedicine, you have the flexibility to go to different locations and travel to different places as long as you maintain your commitment with whoever your partners are. So although I don't practice in one, specific facility anymore, I still have contracts with corporate entities. So I still have responsibilities in certain times that I have to be certain places, but I have that flexibility to build my schedule how I want to. So I try to make time to work out. I try to make time to just do nothing, which is what pretty much like what I was doing today, and just to engage with the community. And the biggest thing is like engaging with the people that are next to you, you know. So it's fun. Life is really good. I just look forward to every day.
Let's go. Let's go. And so before we get out of here, how can the folks connect with you, and where can they find you if they want to work with you, or if they want to just follow your journey?
I'm always on Instagram. I've been trying to get I've been trying to get off of Instagram so much. I'm always
Those are one of those habits that we need to replace with the journal.
yeah. So Instagram is at DRERICAJONS at Dr. Erica Jones, at the Art of Transition podcast. I put a pause on the podcast episodes and started uploading shorts. Those have been working a lot better. So I'm just trying different things. And once again, there's no magic formula. You just have to keep trying stuff and do your own research on your own brain, on your own body, and figure out what works for you. Like, I can't tell you what to do for yourself if you don't know yourself first. So that's my encouragement for you all in terms of taking care of yourselves and being compassionate for yourselves. Just really finding out who you are as a person.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Those of you guys who are watching, y'all, this was just great energy. This was just great energy and great information. Sometimes we just slide in through, give you a little business tips, and then we give you a little transition tips. I know you guys like that. So go ahead and reach out to Dr. Erica if you want to stay connected. Shout out to Nehemiah he said, I feel you keeping your energy and focus on certain levels of for a prolonged period of time can be taxing at times, especially when you're investing in yourself and self-care. So I'm glad Erica's message resonated with you. Shout out to my dad in the house. Thank you, Dad, for showing up. Nasir Bayan is here joining as well from LinkedIn. So we got all platforms in the house, Erica. You are like my golden Buddha, because we got all platforms in the house today, which I love, and folks on Instagram. So those of you guys who are tuning in, thank you so much, Erica, for joining. I love it. I love it. I love it 100%. And thank y'all so much for watching. We will see you guys on the flip side. Go ahead and check out I got to think of the episode number, but I'm going to drop it in the description below if you guys want to see the full episode. Thanks, Jeffrey Hughes. Y'all be great. Peace.
Peace.